we're going into the readings for the second day, which will be Exodus chapter 3 and chapter 4, Leviticus chapter 23, verse 4 through 8, Numbers chapter 9, verse 1 through 14, and Numbers 28, 16 through 25, and Matthew 27. These are the readings for the second day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. And Ariasha'an is going to start reading for us from chapter 3 of Exodus, or Shemot, verse 1. All right, let's start reading.
Exodus chapter 3, verse 1. And Moshe was tending the sheep of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian. And he came to the mountain. And he led the sheep beyond the wilderness and came to the mountain Horeb. Now an angel of Yahweh appeared to him in a fire of flame out of the bush. And he saw that the bush was burning with fire, but the bush was not burning up.
So the bush is on fire, but it's not being consumed by the flame. All right, go ahead.
Then Moshe said, when I pass by, I will look at this great sight. Why is it that the bush is not burning up? Now, when Yahweh saw that he was drawing near to see, Yahweh called to him from the bush, saying, Moshe, Moshe. And he said, what is it? And he said, do not come near here. Loose the sandal from your foot, for the place on which you are standing is holy ground.
Now, this mountain was already known to be like a place where people weren't supposed to go up to, because there was something special about this mountain, like it was a sacred place. Now, go ahead.
And he said to him, I am the Elohai of your father, the Elohai of Abraham, the Elohai of Isaac, and the Elohai of Jacob. And Moshe turned his face away, for he was being reverent to look down before Yahweh. And then Yahweh said to Moshe, when I looked, I saw the affliction of my people in Egypt, and I have heard their cry on account of the taskmasters. For I know their pain.
So our people were crying out to Yahweh because of the pain, the captivity, and the affliction that we were going under. They weren't just content, and they weren't just trying to fix the situation on their own. They knew that it had to be a higher power outside themselves, which was the God of their ancestors, that could help them. And Yahweh heard our cry. So if we cry out to Yahweh collectively, he will hear us. Read.
And I came down to deliver them from the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them out of that land, and to bring them into a good and spacious land.
Came down means that he paid close, specific, particular attention to the situation. Read.
Into the land flowing with milk and honey, into the place of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, the Girgashites, and the Jebusites.
And when it says milk and honey, that just means it's a perfectly balanced ecological system. Because what do the bees do? The bees pollinate. And when you pollinate, you got good flowers and good grass, the nature is growing good. And then the cows come and they eat the flowers and the grass. And when they eat the flowers and the grass, that's what gives you the milk. And the bees' pollination, that's what's going to give you the honey. So when it says milk and honey, we know that milk and honey working together is an excellent ecological cycle. All right, go ahead.
And now, look, the cry of the sons of Yasharallah has come to me, and I have seen the oppression with which the Egyptians oppressed them. And now come, let me send you to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and you will bring my people, the sons of Yasharallah, out of the land of Egypt.
So we are his people, and he's going to bring us out of the land of Egypt. Go ahead.
And Moshe said to Elohai, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and that I should bring the sons of Yasharallah out of the land of Egypt? But Elohai spoke.
So the Most High is talking to Moses, having a conversation and engaging him. Go ahead.
Moshe said to Yahweh, Elisha spoke to Elisha, saying, I will be with you, and this shall be the sign for you that I am sending you. And when you have brought my people out of Egypt, you shall also serve Elisha at this mountain. And Elisha said to Elisha, Look, I shall come to the sons of Yasharallah, and shall say to them, The Elisha of your fathers has sent me to you. They will ask me, What is his name?
So what is his name? What is the Most High's name? Go ahead.
What shall I say to them? And Elisha said to Elisha, I am the one who is.
So Yahweh told Moses, I'm the one that exists. I am. I'm the one that is. All right. I am the one that is. Go ahead.
And he said, Thus shall you say to the sons of Yasharallah, the one who is has sent me to you.
Mm-hmm.
And Elisha said again to Elisha,
Selectly.
Thus you shall say to the sons of Yasharallah.
Now he's going to give you his name forever. And it wasn't I am that I am or Ahaya, Ashar, Ahaya. He's going to tell you what his name is specifically now. Read.
Yahweh, the
He
Elisha
says Yahweh, the Alahaya or the power. Go ahead.
of your fathers,
Power of your fathers. Go ahead.
the Elisha of Abraham,
I'm the power source of Abraham.
the Elisha of Isaac, and the Elisha of Jacob has sent me to you.
This is my what?
This is an everlasting name.
So Yahweh says, this is my name. This is his everlasting name, Yahweh. Now, some people try to say Yahweh, which is okay. Or some people may say Yehovah, which is okay. But some people, as far as the grammar goes, you can get those names from those 4 letters. But if you want to say Yahuwah, you can't get the grammar to fit that. There's too many problems with those YHWH or Yud Hey, Wawa Hey pronounced as the name Yahuwah. You can't do it. Go ahead.
This is an everlasting name of mine,
And he wants you to remember it. Read.
and a memorial
This is a memorial, something I want you to remember,
of generations to generations.
something to be remembered forever. All right, something to be remembered forever. Go ahead.
Therefore, go and assemble the elders
Go and get the elders of the children of Israel. The elders. The elders what?
of the sons of Yasharallah,
Uh-huh.
and you shall say to them,
Read that again.
There,
No, read that again.
and you shall say to them,
No, read the verse again.
Therefore, go and assemble the elders' council
Yeah, you didn't say the council at first. The elders' council. There's supposed to be a council of elders of the who?
of the sons of Yasharallah.
Not just a camp leader, not just a camp priest, not just a camp elder or camp head, but Yahweh is dealing with us as a nation. And until all of these different camps of Israel, realize that Yahweh is dealing with us as a nation, they're losing the big picture. Yahweh is not saying, well, you got your camp, you got your camp, you got your camp. Y'all divided, but I'm with all y'all. I'm not picking a side. Y'all just tell me what y'all need and I'm going to do it. No, Yahweh said, gather yourselves together, which is one of the primary commandments for the children of Israel. The scripture says, hear, O Israel, Yahweh, our God, Yahweh is one. You're going to knock that over. Yahweh, our God, Yahweh is one. Our Israel. All right, so we have to have elders for the people together, and we don't have that now, and we need that because those are the ones that are supposed to sit down and make the decisions for the safety, welfare, benefit of the nation. Read.
And you shall say to them,
Say to them what?
Yahweh,
Yahweh, go ahead.
the Elisha of your fathers,
The God of your fathers.
has appeared to me.
He revealed himself to Moses.
Elisha of Abraham,
The God of Abraham.
and Elisha of Isaac,
The God of Isaac.
and the Elisha of Jacob,
The God of Jacob. The power of Jacob. The eternal one. The powerful one. Read.
saying,
What did he say?
With concern, I have concerned myself with you,
I'm worried about you.
and what has happened to you in Egypt.
I see what's going on in Egypt.
And I said, I will bring you up from the affliction of the Egyptians into the land of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Hivites, and the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Girgashites, and the Jebusites,
Right?
into a land flowing with milk and honey.
A land flowing milk and honey with a perfect ecological balance. Read.
And they will listen to your voice, and you and your elders' council of Yasharallah
The elders' council, go ahead.
shall go in to Pharaoh,
Go into Pharaoh,
king of Egypt, And you shall say to him,
What are you going to say to Pharaoh?
the Elohiah of the Hebrews,
The Elohiah of the Hebrews, Yahweh of the Hebrews, the power of the Hebrews, the God of the Hebrews. Go ahead.
has summoned us. Therefore, let us go a 3 days' journey into the wilderness, so that we may sacrifice to our Elohiah.
Right?
Now I know that Pharaoh, king of Egypt, will not permit you to go, except with a mighty hand, and when I stretch out my hand, I will strike the Egyptians with all my wonders that I will perform among them.
Meaning all the miracles and the plagues that we read about already yesterday. Well, we talked about them. Read.
And after these things, he will send you away.
All right, so after the Most High brings the plagues, the last one being the death of the firstborn, then Pharaoh's going to send us out. Read.
And I will give favor to this people before the Egyptians. Now, whenever you depart, you will not go away empty-handed.
You see, a lot of our people want to leave America, but when you finally leave America, when the Most High delivers us from America, we're going back to the land of Israel. We're not. You can live anywhere on the planet Earth where you want to live, but us as a people are going to be gathered together and put back into the land of Israel. That's our homeland. From the Euphrates River east all the way to the Nile River west, and everything in between those lands belongs to us. That's what was promised our father Abraham, and those are the boundaries that we read about in Ezekiel. So that's our homeland. And we can be anywhere we want to live right now, but ultimately all of our people, those that were scattered throughout Asia and Africa and Europe, and those that are also known as Latino, Native American, and Black in North, Central, South America, and the Caribbean. These are the 12 tribes of Israel that are going back, going to get delivered from captivity from modern Egypt. Read.
But a woman will ask from a neighbor and tent mate of hers silver and gold articles and clothing, and you shall put them on your sons and on your daughters, and you shall plunder the Egyptians.
So we read that already. We read that yesterday when we read Ezekiel, when we read Exodus chapter 12, that we're going to ask for stuff and we're going to take what we want to. All right, so that's chapter 3. So these are very important things for us to remember in our history, because we see that we're trying to go about a system of liberation and freedom, and we're begging America, we're begging the Constitution, we're begging the government to give us something that feels right and fair to us, but ultimately, the God of Israel, Yahweh, is going to give us justice. He's going to give us the justice. He's going to give us the vindication of the things that were done to us. He's going to repay our enemies for what they did. The people that had us in captivity, they are going to go into captivity. All right, that's Isaiah chapter 14 tells you that. So many scriptures talk about the Gentiles going into slavery. So during this Passover season, let's not forget, let's not pretend as if everything is all equal and fair because we observe Passover. No, all nations that had us in captivity are gonna go in captivity. All nations that did evil unto us are gonna pay for the things that they did to us, that they did to our fathers, that they did to our mothers. All the rape, robbery, murder, lynching, the displacement, the exploitation is going to happen to our enemies. And this is a part of the Bible that nobody wants to discuss on Sunday morning. That Yahweh is going to bring vengeance and hell and death, captivity and bondage upon anybody that has raised their hand against the children of Israel. And he says it all throughout the Bible. Even says it in the last book of the Bible, Revelation. It says, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. All right, keep reading, chapter 4.
Exodus chapter 4, verse 1. Then Moshe answered and said, if then they should not believe me or listen to my voice, for they shall say, Elohai has not appeared to you. What shall I say to them? Then Yahweh said, what is this in your hand? And he said, a rod. And he said, throw it on the ground. And he threw it on the ground, and it became a snake, and Mashah fled from it.
So Marshall was holding the stick. He threw the stick on the ground. The stick became a snake. Miracle, showing Yahweh's power and control over not just the elements and not just nature, but over life and animation, making life where no life was. Read.
And he said, throw it on the ground. And he threw it on the ground, and it became a snake, and Mashah fled from it. And Yahweh said to Mashah, stretch out your hand and seize the tail. Then he stretched out his hand and seized the tail, and it became a rod in his hand.
So even though Marshall ran, he still trusted in Yahweh. So just because you run doesn't mean you don't trust in Yahweh. It's just that you need that second wave of encouragement from Yahweh to keep going forward. And that's common in human nature. Read.
So that they may believe you, that Yahweh, the Elohai of their fathers, Elohai of Abraham, of the Elohai of Isaac, and the Elohai of Jacob, has appeared to you.
Notice it keeps saying the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, because we have to recognize him and our forefathers in order to be strong as a people, as a nation. Read.
Now Yahweh said to him again, put your hand in your bosom.
Put your hand in your bosom. Go ahead.
And he put his hand into his bosom,
Put his hand in his bosom.
and he brought his hand out of his bosom, and his hand became white as
His
snow.
hand became white as snow. Snow is a shade of white. So it became white. Right? Like leprosy. Or like a lack of color on his skin. Read. And he said, again, do what?
Again, put your hand into your bosom.
He said, put it in your bosom again. It's white. He put it in. Go ahead.
And he put the hand into his bosom,
Uh-huh.
and brought it out of his bosom. And again it was restored to the color of his flesh.
The what?
The color of his flesh.
The color. So Moses, since white people like to use this word so much in America and in South Africa, Moses was a what man? Colored. Moses was a colored man, so we can understand. He was a man that had significant and noticeable pigment in his skin. Read.
Now if they should not believe you,
If they don't believe you about the snake, read.
or listen to the voice of the first sign, they will believe you because of the voice of the last sign. And it will be, if they should not believe you, for these two
For
signs,
these two signs, the signs of the snake and the sign of Moses changing from black to white. And this is something that we can't overlook. And we have to, and it's a shame that we have to put emphasis on this. It's a shame we have to put emphasis on this. And the reason being is that our people have such a distorted view of who's who in the Bible. So you have to go to a basic, fundamental, elementary level of saying, oh, he was black, oh, he was black, oh, he was black. Because every time you see these people, they're white, white, white. But the truth is that they were brown-skinned people. They were black people. Brown skin and black, if you want to use those two differentiations. Or everybody was different shades of brown. How about that? It was different shades of brown. From dark brown to light brown. Go ahead.
and it will be, if they should not listen or believe you for these two signs,
Go ahead.
or listen to your voice, you shall take some of the river's water and pour it on the dry ground,
Go to the river, get some water, and pour it onto the dirt. Read.
and the water, whatever you take from the river, will be blood on the dry ground.
So the water is going to change into blood on the dry ground. To show that I have the power over water and blood. Read.
But Mashah said to Yahweh,
What do you say?
please, Yahweh, I am incompetent.
Moses is still complaining to Yahweh, saying he can't get the job done. Read.
Before yesterday, or the third day, or since you began to speak to your attendant, I am weak-voiced and slow-tongued.
So I'm weak voice. I can't. I have a weak voice and I have a slow tongue. This is what Moses is saying. So Moses is making excuses to Yahweh about why he can't do what Yahweh is telling him to do. All right? This is us making excuses to Yahweh about why we can't keep the Torah, why we can't keep the commandments. And there's no excuse that's acceptable. Okay, read.
Then Yahweh said to Mashah,
Uh-huh.
who gave a mouth to a person,
Who made the mouth?
and who made him deaf and mute, seeing and blind? Is it not I, Yahweh? And now go,
So Yahweh Alahaya, go ahead.
and now go, and I will open your mouth
I'm going to open your mouth.
and teach you what you are going to speak.
I'm going to open your mouth and teach you what you're going to say, what you're going to speak. Read.
And Mashah said,
What did he say?
please, Yahweh, appoint another capable person
I don't want this job that you're trying to give me, Yahweh. Let somebody else do it.
whom you will send,
Mm-hmm.
and enraged
Yahweh's getting upset now.
with anger
Why? Because Moses talking back to him. Read.
towards Mashah, Yahweh said,
Now Yahweh's getting angry and mad with Moses. What did he say?
look, is not Aaron your brother,
Aaron is your brother,
the Levite?
and he's from the tribe of Levi, just like you.
I know that when he speaks, he will speak for you.
Moses, you have no excuse because Aaron is going to be speaking for you now. Aaron is the one that's going to be doing the speaking for you. All right, go ahead.
And look, he will come out to meet you,
So he says Aaron is going to come out here to see you. Go ahead.
and when he sees you, he will be glad in himself.
When he sees you, he's going to be glad to see his brother. Because as far as we know, they hadn't seen each other in over 40 years. This is a 40-year reunion. All right. Moses left when he was 40. All right. And then he came back. He was gone for 40 years, and Yahweh appeared to him when he was 80. 40 plus 40. And then we were in the wilderness for another 40 years, 120. All right. Keep reading.
And when you shall speak to him,
When you shall speak to your brother Aaron, go ahead.
and put my words in his mouth,
Tell him what I told you. Read.
and I will open your mouth and his mouth, and will teach you what you shall do.
Right.
And he shall speak for you to the people,
Aaron's going to speak to the people on behalf of what Moses tells him, and Moses is telling Aaron what Yahweh told him. Go ahead.
and he shall be your mouth.
And he shall be your mouth. So if you're looking at this, on Facebook, on YouTube right now, you understand the fact that my mouth is speaking and you see my mouth speaking. But you can take the words that I'm saying and you can repeat 1, 2, 3, 4. You can tell that to somebody else. But now the words that came into Moses that he told Aaron to tell the people, those words came from Yahweh. All right, go ahead.
And he shall be your mouth, but you shall be to him the things pertaining to Elohiah. And take this rod, and this rod which was turned into a snake, you shall take in your hand, with which you shall perform the signs with it.
All right, so Yahweh is telling Moses to take this rod. So when he says to take the rod, he's telling him this snake or this rod is going to be, Shalom, Masha, this snake or this rod is going to be an instrument to demonstrate Yahweh's supernatural power in this situation. Read.
Now Mashah went and returned to Jethro, his father-in-law,
Right.
and said, I shall go and return to my brothers in Egypt.
So he said, I'm going to go back to Africa, because right now he's on the Arabian Peninsula right now. So he says, I'm going to go back to my brothers that are living in slavery and in bondage in the land of Egypt. Okay?
and see whether they are still living. And Jethro said to Mashah, go and help.
So it says, shalom to you. Go in shalom, go in peace, go in wholeness and health. Read.
Now after those many days, the king of Egypt had died.
The king of Egypt died, the one that wanted to kill Moses, because Moses killed Moses launched an attack on Pharaoh. Any attack on any employee of Pharaoh was an attack on Pharaoh himself. That's why Moses had to leave, because he committed, let's say, homicide, killed some people, right? He killed somebody that was beating on one of the Israelites. So he took it to a step higher. Said, you want to beat my people? I'm going to kill you. And Moses killed him. All right, Shalom, Diber's son, Shalom J. Abraham. Go ahead.
And Yahweh said to
What
Mashah
Yahweh say?
and Midian, Go, return to Egypt, for all those who were seeking your soul are dead.
Remember, Midian is the habitation of the children of Abraham also. Don't forget that. That at this point they were still Hebrews. Because the Midianites came from Abraham. They came from Abraham through Keturah. So from Abraham through Keturah, the Midianites came and they went and inhabited, the subcontinent right there, like the Sinai Peninsula, all right, between the Red Sea and between the Jordan River area right there. All right. Now there's other areas they were at also, all right, in that general region. Go ahead.
Then Mashah took his wife and children and put them on draft animals, and he went back to Egypt.
And it bears to mention, like, this is the third Hebrew man that we see with a Gentile woman. Abraham already had Hagar and Keturah, which were non-Hebrew people. Okay? And then Joseph had Aseneth, which was a non-Hebrew person. And then Moses now has a woman that is a Hebrew, but not an Israelite, because the Midianites are Hebrews. They come from Abraham's family. So we see all these guys and all these our forefathers in these very difficult social situations, and they end up getting a wife from that place where they are, and that woman starts to follow them. Okay, go ahead.
And Mashah took the rod from Eliah in his hand.
So Mashah took the rod. All right, read that again. The rod from Eliah. What made it from Eliah? Why? Because the Most High put his power on it. All right, go ahead.
And Yahweh said to Mashah,
What did he say?
As you go and return to Egypt, see all the wonders which I put in your hands. You shall perform them before Pharaoh.
Right.
But I will harden his heart, and he will not send the people away.
Now, Yahweh hardened Pharaoh's heart because Pharaoh had it in his mind already that Yahweh was not the power, that the gods of Egypt were the power, not the God of these slaves, these captives, these people that don't even have a land. We were like a bunch of ragtag vagabonds with money and nice clothes, though. But we had been wandering around. We were nomadic. We didn't have our own home territory. So people didn't look at us like, oh, this is a great nation. But they looked at us, oh, this is a powerful people. This is a powerful people. They got wealth. They have soldiers. They have animals. They have livestock. All right, go ahead.
And then you shall say to Pharaoh,
Uh-huh.
This is what Yahweh says. My firstborn son is Yasharallah, and I said to you, Send my people away so that they might serve me.
Right.
Now then, if you are unwilling to send them away, see then, I will kill your firstborn son.
Now, before Yahweh killed Pharaoh's firstborn son, he gave him 9 chances. He gave him 9 chances, right? He gave him 9 plagues, and he said no all 9 times. Now, the 10th one, he said, look, I'm going to kill your children, kill your firstborn. Pharaoh said, I don't care, do what you're going to do. Knowing the Most High's power. But Pharaoh's heart was hardened against the Most High because he had already had in his mind hard. All right? Now go ahead.
Now then, if you are unwilling to send them away, see then, I will kill your firstborn son.
I will kill your firstborn son. So we're in the land of Egypt. And there were no Hebrew women with Moses, so Moses took a wife that wasn't Egyptian, but she was a Hebrew woman. And this Hebrew woman had his children, and these children were Hebrews through Moses. So now Moses is going back to Pharaoh, who had an Egyptian woman with Egyptian children, and these other nations are surrounding us also in the land of Egypt. There weren't just Israelites and Egyptians there. There were other nations there also working in Egypt, being captives in Egypt, employees in Egypt, officials in Egypt. Go ahead.
Now it happened on the way at the lodging, an angel of Yahweh met him and was seeking to kill him.
Right.
And Zipporah took a pebble and circumcised the foreskin of her son.
Right?
And she fell at his feet and said, "The blood of the circumcision of my child is staunched."
Mm-hmm.
He went away from him because she said, "The blood of the circumcision of my child is staunched."
Because Moses knew about the circumcision, and he knew that the Most High was calling him to do a mighty work to bring the children of Israel and fulfill his word to give us this land. And Moses knew that was part of the covenant. So now with Moses knowing that's part of the covenant, he's supposed to say, what was the token of the covenant? It's circumcision. But Moses didn't circumcise his children until he was forced to by that angel. So don't wait until the Most High forces your hand to do what is the right thing to do. This is one of the lessons we can see from Keturah or Zipporah circumcising her sons. All right, go ahead.
And Yahweh said to Aharon, "Go into the wilderness for a meeting with Mashah." And he went and met him at the mountain of Alahiah,
Right.
and they kissed one another. And Mashah reported to Aharon all the words of Yahweh that he sent, and all the signs that he commanded him. Then Mashah and Aharon went and assembled the elders' council
The elders' council.
of the sons of Yasharallah,
See, the elders' council of the sons of Yasharallah. Ragma Zakwanya B'nai Yisrael, or Ragma Zakwanya Banya Yasharallah. All right, the council of elders of the sons of Israel. Now, go ahead.
and Aharon spoke all these words that Alahiah had spoken to Mashah.
So now is Aaron that's doing a lot of speaking. When we read it, said Moses said this, Moses said that. It's like Aaron, the one that's talking, repeating the words that Moses said. Read.
and performed the signs before the people.
Right.
And the people believed and were glad, because Alahiah had observed the sons of Yasharallah, and because he had seen their oppression. Then the people bowed down and did obeisance.
So the people were happy. They were glad. Yahweh remembered them. Yahweh gave the sign. And the people felt a sense of relief when they saw these signs that Moses gave to them. And they wanted to be in good graces with Yahweh. All right, good graces with Yahweh. All right, anybody have any questions? You can write them down or type them, and we may not answer all of them right now, but we'll answer them when we finish. All right, with the readings. All right, so that's chapter 3 and 4. And the highlights of these chapters is Moses going to the mountain, burning bush, taking off his shoes, Yahweh telling him, "This is my name that I want you to tell the people. This is my name, a memorial for everlasting," all right, from generation to generation. And he says, "I'm going to give your people all of this land. You got to just go into the wilderness to worship me," all right? You got to go into the wilderness to worship me. And Moses complained and said, "Nah, I really can't do all that." And Yahweh said, "Look, man, I made everything. You're going to do what I say to do." All right. And then he also gave Moses, 3 signs. All right. The sign of the snake, the sign of turning white. And the third sign that he gave him was a sign of you take this water, pour it on the ground, it's going to change the blood. All right, so Moses would go tell his father-in-law, "Hey, we got to go. I'm going to go back, check what's going on in Egypt with the Israelites." And his father-in-law says, "Cool." So Moses' wife leaves with Moses and their children. And Moses is about to bring the children of Israel into the covenant to get this land. And we know the token of the covenant is circumcision. But Moses did not give his own sons the token of the covenant. All right. And this also kind of shows you how maybe Moses was slipping a little bit when he was in captivity, because he wasn't fully exercising the customs that he had learned that he's supposed to be operating in as an Israelite. All right. As an Israelite. Because notice it doesn't talk about nobody else being circumcised. Aaron and Moses don't talk about them not or being circumcised. Just those 2 sons that were born in Midian. All right. All right, so let's go into, we got some quick questions about this. How does Zipporah know to circumcise the sons to have the angel leave? It was the only reason. It was the only rationale. She understood the big picture of what was going on and what we're doing. And when the angel came and met Moses and seeking to kill him, apparently, apparently Moses and Keturah couldn't figure out nothing that Moses was doing wrong, except for that. That's the only reason, except for that. Wasn't nothing else that you could blame Moses on. Nothing else he could be accused of. Was Moses considered an elder judge? No. Moses would be more or less considered, he was like a king. Moses was more like a prophet king. He was much higher than an elder judge. All right. It was the two levels of office you see in Israel. At the top level is the priest, the prophet, and the king. Remember, the king was always talking to David. The priest was always the priests were at the temple, and then the prophets were talking to David. All right, the prophets were talking to the king. So the prophet and David was a prophet and a king. So Moses would be considered to be a king and a prophet. Okay. Man, you got why did Yahweh dismiss Moses having a wife? What do you mean dismiss him? That shows you that even getting judged is still a chance to repent, and that it's not. Okay, that's not questions. That's statements right there. So I'm looking for the questions. Trying to see the other. I don't see another question. Why did Miriam get on Marsha for having a wife, and why did Yahweh dismiss it exactly? Well, the understanding is that they were kind of jealous of Moses' position, and they thought that he didn't have enough responsibility. He had enough responsibility already, and that he shouldn't be taking on another wife. All right. So that's the basic overview understanding of why there was so much problems in them talking about Yahweh getting mad with them and them starting to talk against Moses, because Moses decided he was going to take on another woman. Scripture says Ethiopian woman in Numbers chapter 12 verse 1. Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses on account of the Ethiopian woman who Moses had taken, because he had taken an Ethiopian woman. And they said, Yahweh has not spoken only to Moses, has he? Did he not also speak to us? All right. So they, like I said, they got jealous because he married another woman. And it could be there could have been some historical tensions there also between the children of Israel in Egypt and some of the Cushites, all right, threatening that southern border also. So there could have been some tension and some animosity between the Hebrews and the Cushites at that point in history also. But we don't have any definitive historical responses to answer that question, and the answer isn't given in the text. And we don't see anything where the answer is like directly, hinted of an answer. And anytime we find a situation like that, we're having a good conversation, because we can never say, yes, this is why this happened. All right, we can't say why everything happened. Okay, now let's go into Leviticus chapter 23, verse 4 through 8. So we're almost finished. Leviticus 23, verse 4 through 8. Let's read that.
Leviticus chapter 23, verse 4.
That's right.
These are the feasts for Yahweh, and they are designated holy, those that you shall call out at their appointed time.
Those that you shall call out, meaning you announce that this is what it's going to be and when it's going to be. So these are the feasts, all right? These are the feasts. These are Moedim or Mawa'idim. These are the announced celebrations that come around every now and again. Okay, go ahead.
In the first month, on the 14th day of the
The
month.
first month, meaning the first new moon of the year, which is Abib. Go ahead.
In the middle,
Wait, go back up where I left off at.
in the first month, on the 14th day of the month,
In. See that? It's in or on. So you're in the 14th day. You see that? It says on the 14th day. You're not the 15th, you're not the 13th. So you're inside of the 14th day right now. Con? All right, go ahead.
in the middle of the time approaching evening,
In the middle of the time approaching evening. That means like between 3 and 6 or between 12 and 6 when the shadow starts to get longer. When the shadow starts to get longer before it gets dark around 6-ish. So you're talking about like 3 o'clock. What do?
is a Pascha to Yahweh.
All right, so the 14th day in the middle approaching is a Pascha to Yahweh. It's a Passover to Yahweh. All right, go ahead.
And on the 15th
On
day,
the 15th day, which now the 14th day is over, and now you're inside of the 15th day. Sunset has come, and now you're in the 15th day now. Go ahead.
and on the 15th day of the
On the
same
15th day of the same month
is the feast of unleavened bread.
is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. So you see that? The Pascha was on the 14th day before it got dark. And then the Feast of Unleavened Bread started when? Started on the 15th day. It was dark now. Read.
7 days
7 days, go ahead.
ye shall eat unleavened things.
7 days you eat unleavened things, or eat your bread with no leaven. All right? 7 days. Go ahead.
And the first day
The first day.
shall be a designated holy one to you.
The first day is a holy day. The first day is a holy day. Read.
You shall not do any work. Of
You can't do
service.
any work of service. Go ahead.
And for 7
And for
days
7 days
you shall present
you shall present
whole burnt offering
whole burnt offerings to who?
to Yahweh.
Whole burnt offerings to Yahweh. Sacrifices at the temple were done to the Most High in this time frame. All right, go ahead.
And the 7th day
The 7th day,
shall be a designated holy one
that's another holy day. So the 7th day is a designated holy one, a holy day. Go ahead.
to you.
To you. So this is a holy day again. First day and the 7th day, which this year is going to be so-called Thursday night to so-called Friday night. That's going to be the last 7th day. All right, go ahead.
You shall not do any work of service.
Don't do any work of service. So that's basically the general parameters for the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the 7 days of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. All right? So now we move into the book of Numbers, chapter 9, verse 1 through 14. Numbers chapter 9, verses 1 through 14. All right? Let's read that.
Numbers chapter 9, verse 1.
Numbers chapter 9, verse 1.
And Yahweh spoke to Moshe in the wilderness of Sinai
So Yahweh speaking to Moses, what did he say?
in the 2nd year after they went out of the land of Egypt.
This is the second year. So this is year number 2, coming out the land of Egypt. So this is the second year that we've completed our first full year. We came out in Abib, so now we find ourselves back into what month?
In the first month.
In the first month again. And this is why once you understand read the Hebrew closely, the word for year actually means 2. The root word is 2, which means repetition or repeat. Because you're right back at the same place where you were again. All right? Or shani, or shanya. All right? That's 2, a second. And then shana means a year. All right, go ahead. So the first month, meaning what? The first month of the year, when the sun and the moon are going to be in the first constellation. All right? And when the cycle of the moon and the sun is going to put the sun inside the first constellation, or during the time that the moon is making that rotation through all 12 constellations. That's how you determine the new year. All right. The sun is usually in the first constellation, but sometimes you may get it at the last constellation, and it might line up with the moon and make a new moon, but then it may move from that last constellation into the first constellation like 2 or 3 days later. Okay, the sun may be there. So it's not always going to start in the first constellation. Sometimes it can start in the last constellation, the 12th constellation. But then it's just moving around, all right? By the time that Passover comes, the moon should be in the 7th constellation. All right? The moon should be in the 7th constellation. Okay? And when it's in the 7th constellation, which is going to be the mid-constellation, that's going to tell us, okay, we're going to observe the Feast of Unleavened Bread. You're not just looking at the moon. You got to look the backdrop behind the moon. Where is the moon? Where is the sun in this cycle that it's in now? All right, go ahead. So that's what it means by month. Go ahead. Saying what?
Speak and let the sons of Yasharallah keep the Pascha according to its season.
All right.
On the 14th
day
of the first
month,
toward
evening,
you shall keep it according to appointed times.
They will kill the lamb, go ahead.
According to its law.
According to the law.
And according to its interpretation. You shall keep it.
All right, do it exactly as I've written it to you. Read in Leviticus 23. Go ahead.
And Mashah told the sons of Yasharallah.
Mashah told the children of Israel, go ahead.
To keep the Pascha.
Keep the Pascha, go ahead.
When the month began, on the 14th day,
go ahead.
In the wilderness of Sinai.
All right.
Just as Yahweh instructed Mashah, so the sons of Yasharallah did.
Right.
And the men came near. Who were unclean.
These men were unclean because they had come in contact with death. Right, go ahead.
Regarding a human soul.
So they had 7 days they got to be apart, so they can't participate in the feast days. Now check this out, read.
And they were not able to keep the Pascha in that day. And they came before Mashah.
Now what did they have to do? They had to take the lamb and go to the Levites. And the Levites would kill it, and they would take the blood. The Levites would take that blood and perform the rituals for Yahweh. But they couldn't take any sacrifices to Yahweh this time. Why? Because they had to be outside the camp. Because they were unclean from that dead body. Khan? Go ahead.
We are unclean regarding a human soul.
We're unclean. Tama'ah, tameh. Read.
Surely then we are not to fail to offer the gift to Yahweh according to its appointed time in the midst of Yasharallah's sons.
So they say, hey, we unclean, but we should not fail to make our offering for Pascha. That's what he said. Look what he said. Fail to what? Offer the gift. See, Passover is a gift that you offer, and it was killed, and the blood was given. So you cannot offer your Passover lamb in America, in Dominican Republic, in Mexico. You can have a memorial to remember the Passover, but you can't take that lamb and say, this is a sacrifice to Yahweh, because you cannot offer any sacrifices to Yahweh outside of Jerusalem. But you're eating lamb, but it's not a sacrifice. Right, read.
And Mashah spoke to them, stand here, and I will hear what Yahweh shall command concerning you.
Meaning what? Moses said, well, this is something new. Let me go seek counsel from Yahweh about this situation. Read.
And Yahweh spoke to Mashah, saying,
what he said?
Speak to the sons of Yasharallah.
Go back and give them this message from me. What did he say?
Person by person.
Every person, every man, man by man. Go ahead.
Whoever is unclean.
Any person. What it says, person by person without exception is what that means. Whoever is what?
Whoever is unclean.
Whoever is unclean, go ahead.
Regarding a human soul.
Regarding a human soul.
Or is on a journey far off to you.
Or went on a long trip. Go ahead.
Or among your families. Shall also keep the Pascha to Yahweh.
Right.
In the second month, on the 14th day.
So the second month on the 14th day, go ahead.
They shall keep it.
How'd they keep it?
With unleavened bread.
Unleavened bread.
And bitter herbs.
And bitter herbs.
They shall eat it.
They shall eat what? The lamb. But they had to take it to to the tabernacle for it to be sacrificed to Yahweh. And that's the part about Passover that we can't overlook. People sometimes may forget. This was an actual sacrifice of the animal given to Yahweh. And we're not doing that outside Jerusalem. Read.
They shall leave none of it until morning,
It had to be burnt up. When the morning time came, it should be all burnt up by now. Read.
and they shall not break a bone from it. According to the law of the Pascha, they shall keep it. And a person who is pure and is not on a journey far off, that fails to keep the Pascha, that soul shall be totally destroyed from his people, because he did not offer his gift to Yahweh according to its appointed time.
Now notice everything is about offering the gift, which was the actual lamb. Right now, you're using the lamb as part of your Passover dinner or supper, Feast of Unleavened Bread meals. But originally, that lamb was supposed to be killed and given to Yahweh as a gift. All right, go ahead.
That person shall receive his sin.
So the person shall receive his sin, meaning he's not going to be held sinless. He's guilty. Go ahead.
Now, if a guest that comes to you in your land, he shall also keep the Pascha to
The
Yahweh.
sojourners that come into our land to keep the Passover, go ahead.
According to the law of the Pascha, and according to its organization, so shall we keep it. There shall be one law for you, and for the guest, and for the native of the land.
So what does it mean he shall keep it? He had to be circumcised also. We read about this inside of Exodus chapter 12. Anybody that's not a Hebrew, an Israelite that wants to keep the Passover has to be circumcised. All right. Now, let me say, what is keeping the Passover? Keeping the Passover, strictly speaking, means you're taking this lamb and you're offering it at the tabernacle or at the temple as a sacrifice to Yahweh. Okay? As a sacrifice to Yahweh. You are not doing that. You are not doing that. You're not sacrificing to Yahweh. All right, go ahead. We finished there. Let's go into Numbers 28, verse 16 through 25. Numbers 28, verse 16 through 25. Let's start reading that.
Numbers chapter 28, verse 16. And in the first month,
Which is the first month of the year, which is called Abib. All right, go ahead.
on the 14th day of the month,
All right.
it is Pascha to Yahweh. And on the 15th day of this month is a feast. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread. And the first day shall be designated holy for you.
Right.
You shall not do any work of service. And you shall bring whole burnt offerings as an offering to Yahweh. 2 calves from the cattle, 1 ram, 7 lambs, a year old. They shall be to you without blemish. And their sacrifice shall be fine flour mixed with oil, 3/10 deals for 1 bull calf. And you shall do 2/10 for the 1 ram, a tenth, and a tenth you shall do for the 1 lamb, for the 7 lambs. And 1 male goat from the goats for sin, to make atonement for you, apart from the continual whole burnt offering of the morning, which is a whole burnt offering of perpetuity. And these you shall do daily in the same way for the 7 days as a gift, an offering as an odor of fragrance to Yahweh. On top of the continual whole burnt offering, you shall do its libation.
So these are all of the offerings that were given during the feast days. All right, specifically for the 7 days of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. All right, go ahead.
And the 7th day shall be designated holy for you. You shall not do any work of service in it.
All right, so that's that, right? So we read about all these sacrifices. So we don't do these sacrifices outside of Jerusalem. We don't do these sacrifices away from the tabernacle. We can't do these sacrifices in our exiles. It's unlawful. All right. In other words, our sacrificial system wasn't something that was mobile. we could do it anywhere we wanted to do it at. No, you had to be at Jerusalem. When we messed that up, we couldn't do those sacrifices anymore. All right. And lastly, let's go to Numbers chapter 27. I'm sorry, Matthew chapter 27. All right, so we finished with the Torah readings. A lot of Torah readings. Now we're finishing Matthew chapter 27. Let's start reading Matthew 27.
Matthew chapter 27, verse 1.
Right.
When morning came, all the chief priests and the elders of the people conferred together against Yahushua.
You see that? What y'all see right there? Same ones Moses went to as the first ones on the list of people that's going against Hamashiach now. It said the elders of the people conferred against Hamashiach to do what? Put him what?
In order to bring about his death.
To order to put him to death. Some elders, huh? Go ahead.
They bound him, led him away, and handed him over to Pilate the governor. When Judas, his betrayer, saw that Yahushua was condemned, he repented and brought back 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and the elders. He said, I have sinned by betraying innocent blood. But they said, what is that to us? See to it yourself. Throwing down the pieces of the silver in the temple, he departed and he went and hanged himself.
So Judas said, man, I don't want this money anymore. And the priest of them said, so? You got nothing to do with us? Go ahead.
But the chief priests, taking the pieces of silver, said, it is not lawful to put them into the treasury, since they are blood money. And after conferring together, they used them to buy the potter's field as a place to bury foreigners. For this reason, that field has been called the field of blood to this day. Then was fulfilled what had been spoken through the prophet Jeremiah, and they took the 30 pieces of silver, the price of the one on whom a price had been set, and on whom some of the people of Yasharallah had set a price, and they gave them for the potter's field, as Yahweh commanded me. Now Yahushua stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, are you the king of the Jews?
Are you the king of the Jews? Go ahead.
Yahushua said, you say so. But when he was accused by the chief priests and elders, he did not answer. Then Pilate said to him, do you not hear how many accusations they make against you? But he gave him no answer, not even to a single charge, so that the governor was greatly amazed. Now at the festival, the governor was accustomed to release a prisoner for the crowd, anyone whom they wanted. At that time, they had a notorious prisoner called Yahushua Barabbas. So after they had gathered, Pilate said to them, whom do you want me to release to you, Yahushua Barabbas or Yahushua who was called the Messiah?
Right.
For he realized that it was out of jealousy that they had handed him over.
So Pilate understands what's going on. He knows that Hamashiach is innocent and that they were jealous of him, envious, because they wanted his position and they wanted the people to give them respect and honor like they were giving to Hamashiach, and they weren't getting it. Read.
While he was sitting on the judgment seat,
Right.
his wife sent word to him.
His wife sent word to him, Pilate's wife, and what'd she say?
Have nothing to do with that innocent
Because
man.
she had a dream. She is a Gentile woman. Well, don't say she was a Gentile, but she had a dream about Hamashiach. Go ahead.
I have suffered a great deal because of a dream about him. Now the chief priests...
Meaning she was in turmoil. She felt like she was suffering because of this dream that she had. Read.
Now the chief priests and the elders persuaded the crowds to ask for Barabbas and to have Yahushua killed.
Right.
The governor again said to them, which of the two do you want me to release for
Which
you?
one y'all want?
And they said, Barabbas.
Barabbas. Go ahead.
Pilate said to them,
Now, all of these things are prophesied in the book of Psalms, a lot of them. Some of them in Zechariah, some in Isaiah. All right, go ahead.
Pilate said to them, then what should I do with Yahushua, who is called the Messiah? All of them said, let him be crucified. Then he asked, why? What evil has he done? But they shouted all the more, let him be crucified. So when Pilate saw that he could do nothing, but rather that a riot was beginning, he took some
A
water.
riot was beginning because they wanted the wrong man. All right, go ahead.
He took some water and washed his hand before the crowd, saying, I am innocent of this man's blood. See to it yourselves. Then the people as a whole answered, his blood be on us and on our children. And he released Barabbas for them, and after flogging Yahushua, he handed him over to be
He
crucified.
beat him. Read.
Then the soldiers of the governor took Yahushua into the governor's headquarters, and they gathered the whole cohort around him.
Which was the Praetorian, and the cohort is the group of soldiers. Okay?
They stripped him and put a scarlet robe on him, and after twisting
About 600 men, more or less. Go ahead.
And after twisting some thorns into a crown, they put it on his head. They put a reed in his right hand and knelt before him and mocked him, saying, Hail, King of the Jews.
Right.
They spat on him and took the reed and struck him on the head.
They spit on him. Right, they spit on him. Right, go ahead.
After mocking him, they stripped him of the robe and put his own clothes on him, and then they led him away to be crucified. As they went out, they came upon a man.
Now, I want to point something out. The prophecies talk about that the Messiah was going to get pierced in his feet, and in his hands. But at the time that it was written, nobody was doing that. The Romans were the main ones pushing that crucifixion type stuff. Nobody was doing it. So not only did the Psalms prophesy what was going to happen to the Messiah, they also prophesied that it was going to be done by a people that we had no close cultural interactions with, because their method of killing people and punishing people was totally different than what anybody else was doing within our region. So it pinpointed what was going to happen, and it pinpointed the time frame under the Roman government that it was going to happen. All right, read. So when people see this, like, oh, hold up, these people, they nailing people to wood. Hey, don't we got a look, they nailing the hands and the feet. Don't we got a prophecy about that? People like, yeah, we must be approaching the time. You know? Go ahead.
As they went out, they came upon a man from Cyrene named Simon. They compelled this man to carry his cross, and when they came to a place called Golgotha.
So as we said earlier, Simon was from Cyrene. So there's a lot of interaction between the children of Israel and between the children of Israel and between other people in Africa. The children of Israel geographically are African, but not Hamites. They're Shemites. Shem inhabited parts of Africa also. We're Shem from Africa. The Igbo are Shem from Africa. All right, the Limba are Shem from Africa. The Hutus and the Tutsis, both of them are Shemites from Africa. The Beta Israel and Ethiopia are Shemites from Africa. And segments of the Zulu are Semites from Africa. So these are Semites from Africa, but their origin point generations and many centuries ago is in the land of Israel. Then we migrated into Africa. But we all know that. All right? Go ahead.
Then they came to a place, called Golgotha.
Now, Golgotha, just like we read yesterday about Gethsemane, right? Gethsemane is also an Aramaic word. Golgotha is an Aramaic word. It's not a Hebrew word. Go ahead.
Which means place of place of a skull.
Go ahead.
They offered him wine to drink, mixed it with gall, but when he tasted it, he would not drink it.
Go ahead.
And when they had crucified him, they divided
Crucified meaning they took his hand, put nails in it, feet, nails in it. And he's hanging there. And his body weight, like you can feel the pressure on all of your bones. That's what it means when it says, I could tell all of my bones. All right, go ahead.
They divided his clothes among themselves by casting lots. Then they sat down there and kept
And
watch.
we read this from the prophecies too. All right, a lot of these things are written inside the Psalms. Okay, a lot of these things are things that are written inside the Psalms. As a matter of fact, I don't know if it's going to be in this one. Sorry, but I can see if it is. Get if it's not in this one, we can find it inside the Lexham. All right. Yeah, Psalms 22:18 says, I counted all my bones, and just by me being associating that prophecy, by me being familiar with that prophecy, I'm talking about his bones, even though they didn't mention his bones, but then I'm associating his clothes with his bones. Why? Because I'm familiar with the prophecies. So I'm not just reading this like, oh yeah, this is good reading. My mind is just keep archiving back, going into my database. Oh, there's a these are prophecies, and it talks about the bones in here too. So it says in Psalms 22:18, I counted all my bones, but they took note and observed me. They divided my clothes amongst themselves, and for my clothing they cast lots. What did it say they did?
And they divided his clothes among themselves by casting lots.
They divided his garments and cast lots. Right here it says they divided my clothes and they cast lots. This is the prophecy in Psalms chapter 22. Well, 21 in the Greek, but 22 in the Hebrew in the King James Version. And you can read verse 17 and 18. And it talks about exactly what we're reading right here. So everything that was supposed to happen, happened. All the prophecies. Read.
Then they sat down there and kept watch over him. Over his head they put the charge against him, which read, This is Yahushua, the King of the Jews.
Yahushua HaMashiach, Yahushua, King of the Jews. Or actually, and it wouldn't have said Yahushua. It would have said Yeshua. It would say Yeshua. That's what it would have said. All right. Go ahead.
Then two rebels were crucified with him, one on his right hand and one on his left. Those who passed by derided him, shaking their heads and saying, You who would destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, save yourself. If you are the son of Elohiah, come down from the cross. In the same way, the chief priests also, along with the scribes, were mocking him, saying, He saved others, he cannot save himself. He's the king of Israel. Let him come down from the cross now, and we will believe in him. He trusts in Elohiah. Let Elohiah deliver him now.
Wait. Psalms 22 and 8. He hoped in Yahweh, let him rescue him. Let him save him, because he wanted him. You see that? This is what David wrote that they were going to be saying. And they actually said what David wrote they were going to be saying. So all the prophecies about Hamashiach were fulfilled in the Psalms. And that's why when people say that Hamashiach didn't come, it's because they don't understand the prophecy, they don't understand the timeline. And they don't understand the prophecy, the timeline, and they haven't examined the Psalms. The Psalms are probably the number one the number one source of fulfilled prophecies about Hamashiach. So many prophecies are in the Psalms. But then somebody could say, well, it's a case of they read the Psalms and then they fabricated the New Testament. Okay, let's say they did that. And again, this is my story and I'm sticking to it. No person that rejected Hamashiach wrote anything about nobody forging or faking no prophecies ever until 900 years later. That's one thing. Second thing is, if there's a Messiah, were the people going to say all of this, that's supposed to come in a specific time frame, and he's supposed to do certain things and be killed a certain way, and we have a man in the first century fulfilling these prophecies. If you don't believe he's the one, where's your candidate from the same time frame? What's your other candidate? What's your other option? What's the other alternative? What's the other man that got crucified in the time frame before Judah? What the scripture says, the scepter shall not depart from Judah until Shiloh come, until the Messiah come. That's when Judah is going to lose his power. All right, that's when Judah is going to lose his power. And you're going into Genesis chapter 49. So here Psalms chapter 22, we got all of these prophecies about Hamashiach. And so many prophecies, so many Psalms. All right, and everything you're reading in here, a lot of these things are prophecies that were written, that Hamashiach fulfilled. And this is why we go to the book of Luke chapter 24, verse 44. Hamashiach showed them the things that were written in the law and the prophets and in the Psalms about him. Go ahead.
He trusts in Elohim. Let Elohim deliver him.
That's
now.
exactly what it said right here. Go ahead.
If he wants to, for he said, I am Elohim's son.
Mm-hmm.
The rebels who were crucified with him also taunted him in the same way.
All right.
From noon on, darkness came over the whole land until 3 in the afternoon.
Now this darkness that came over the whole land, get the Sapar Sadwar, and I think it's in there. This darkness that came upon the whole land was a supernatural darkness. It was not an eclipse. Eclipses happen when the moon is in front of the sun. So this was not like, oh, it's the eclipse. It wasn't a full eclipse. Everybody, you got records from China, Chinese people. You got records from Egyptian people, Arab people, because Arab at that time was a budding nation. But you got records over there that say what? You got records that say there was some sort of darkness that came upon the land in the first century AD that was unexpected, it was not natural, and it was something beyond our understanding. And it was recorded by Israelite scholars. All right, it was recorded by a guy named Sextus Julius Africanus. All right, Sextus Julius Africanus, right there. His name right there. All right, Sextus Julius Africanus. And this Sextus Julius Africanus, he lived from approximately 160 AD to 240 AD. I'm going to read this because we're talking about that darkness, right? It says, noted ancient intellect, historian that traveled with Septimius Severus. See, all the Israelites want to talk about Septimius Severus, right? Well, this is the scholar that was with Septimius Severus 2 years after he became the emperor. In 195 AD to Osrhoene, and was also a scholar and librarian to the Severan emperor. Can you stop kicking it? Because that stuff can. To the Severan emperor Marcus Aurelius Alexander Augustus. All right. Now this emperor is the one that built the Severus synagogue in Rome. All right. So this is a friend of the Hebrews. You didn't know Roman emperors were building synagogues in Rome, did you? All right. So this is a black member. Septimius Severus was a black man from Carthage. Korath Kadash, which means new city. It's a black city founded by Israelites that were worshiping other gods, but nonetheless founded by Israelites. All right. He placed there a Torah that had been stolen from Titus, stolen by Titus from Jerusalem in 70 AD. So that the gold scroll, all right, the gold scroll that the Maccabees and them had, all right, and then you read about Ezra writing another scroll, right, and then Josephus says that the scroll that was at the temple in his time frame, 70 AD, was a scroll that was written in gold letters. Gold letters. Okay? Written in golden letters. So Titus stole this in 70 AD. And then it says, he was the last emperor, talking about Severus Aurelius. He was the last emperor of the Severian dynasty that was established by Septimius Severus. All right. Now, his librarian is the guy we're talking about. So this ain't just some fly-by-night guy. This is an actual scholar historian sitting next to the family, working with the family, teaching the family of the first noted Israelite emperor of the Roman Empire, Septimius Severus. So we want to make this very clear. And this is a guy that is a friend of the Israelites. Now let's read this. And a believer in Hamashiach. So listen to what happened. All right. Africanus was born in Jerusalem. He was born in Jerusalem, which tells you he wasn't a hardcore practicing Jew, because no Israelites were allowed in Jerusalem after 131. No Israelites that rejected Hamashiach were allowed in Jerusalem after what? After the Bar Kokhba rebellion in 135 AD. They were totally exiled from Jerusalem. Now, what does it say? It said, he successfully petitioned the emperor to restore the Hebrew town of Emmaus, where Hamashiach, he ate and appeared to his disciples after his resurrection. That's Luke chapter 24, verse 13 through 21. Now, Africanus, who was a black man, a follower of Yahweh, a historian, a royal librarian to the black emperor, he testifies that the darkness that covered the land at the crucifixion from noon until 3 p.m. was not an eclipse, but a supernatural darkness caused by Yahweh, not nature. Read that part again. You just read about the darkness. Call your verse.
Matthew 27, verse 45.
Uh-huh.
From noon on, darkness came over the whole land until 3 in the afternoon.
Okay, so this is what he records about that. Listen, he says, I quote, an eclipse of the sun takes place only when the moon comes under the sun, meaning when they're right up under each other. And it cannot happen at any other time, but in the interval between the first day of the new moon. He's even telling you when the new moon is, huh? He ain't saying there's no crescent. He's saying you can only have an eclipse at the first day of the new moon. And what? And the last of the old. That is at their junction. Very interesting, right? And then he says, how then should an eclipse be supposed to happen when the moon is almost diametrically opposite the sun? Let opinion pass, however, let it carry the majority with it, and let this portent of the world be deemed an eclipse of the sun, like others a portent only to the eye. And then another guy named Phlegon, he records that in the time of Tiberius Caesar, at full moon, there was a full eclipse of the sun from the 6th hour to the 9th, manifestly that one of which we speak. But what has an eclipse in common with an earthquake, the rending rocks, the ripping rocks, and the resurrection of the dead? And so great a perturbation throughout the universe. Surely no such event as this is recorded for a long period. So he's telling you, I'm getting my information from a historian from the 1st century of Tiberius, which was the emperor at that time. All right. Now, this is from what he wrote. It's called Chronographiae, number 18.1, written in 22 AD. So you got the historical record right here. So you got one historian who was a black man, all right, quoting another historian from the 1st century, that this was not a regular eclipse. This was something supernatural. All right, let's keep reading. So we got that. So all these people that say, oh yeah, they was a real, that proves that the new moon, that proves that Passover happened on a new moon. I mean, Passover happened on, I can't even get the lie that they tell straight. That proves that Passover, that proves that the new moon was full. And then when Passover came, it was on the opposite side, which means it was black and covered because there was an eclipse. But you can only have an eclipse when the moon is in front of the sun. So people are saying, oh, since the moon is in front of the sun, that means the 15th of Abib, which is Passover, must have been under a black moon, which means that the opposite of that, a white moon, must be the time when the new moon is really supposed to come in at. And you got historians that say, nope, it was a regular lunar cycle, all right, and it was supposed to be a full moon. It was a full moon, but there was an eclipse, and that this eclipse, there was a full eclipse of the sun from the 6th hour, and he says that at the full moon there was a full eclipse. Now, how can you have a full moon and a full eclipse? So if you gotta, first of all, let's talk about the fact it was a full moon. So if it was a full moon, that means that the middle of the month was under the full moon, which means that the beginning of the month had to be a what? A black moon. So he's saying that at the full moon, there was a full eclipse of the sun. And he says that, this is not something that's natural or normal. So we got the historical references to show you that this was under a normal lunar cycle. Black moon is the new moon, and the white moon is the full moon, the middle of the month, when Passover happened under the full moon. And then people are saying that this eclipse was not a normal eclipse. This was something that was under a full moon, and this was not normal. Two historians. One historian corroborating what another historian said. You won't find any place in history where anybody's saying this event that's described in the Bible happened under the new moon, under a black moon, because it's impossible. It would have been a miracle then. I said, oh wow, the Most High made the sun shine at noon. It's not no miracle.
That's normal.
Now, if you said, man, we went out there, we went outside, it was 9 p.m., and we looked toward the east, and we seen the sun. It was bright. It was hot. It was the sun. And then it kind of disappeared. And then it just wasn't there, and it got dark again. It was just super weird. Or better yet, imagine it's the full moon, and all of a sudden the whole sky goes black for 3 hours. From in the middle of the day. This is what happened. Middle of the day, everything went black. All right, go ahead.
Matthew chapter 27, verse 46.
Go ahead.
And about 3 o'clock, Yahushua cried
Which is the ninth hour. Go ahead.
with a loud voice,
What did he say?
Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani.
So this is, again, not Hebrew. This is, it's very ironic because this is him quoting the same chapter we've been talking about in Psalms, which is Psalms 22. He's quoting Psalms 22, which means, my God, why have you forsaken me? Why is he quoting that psalm? Because that psalm is exactly what he was going through, what he was feeling. They took his clothes. They're saying he trusted in Yahweh, let him deliver him. All right. In verse 16, it says, they gouged my hands and my feet. So he's experiencing everything that the psalm is writing. So the psalm starts out saying, oh, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. Why have you forsaken me? But it ends up with righteousness being announced to a people that are going to come generations after. All right. It ends in victory, but it starts with sadness, but it ends in victory. Right? What they say? Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. All right, go ahead.
That is, my God, why have you forsaken me?
Which is exactly in Psalms chapter 22. Read.
When some of the bystanders heard it, they said, this man is calling for Elijah. At once one of them ran and got a sponge and filled it with sour wine and put it on a stick and gave it to him to drink. But the other said, wait, let us see whether Elijah will come and save him. Then Yahushua cried again with a loud voice and breathed his last. At that moment, the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom.
So the curtains ripped at the temple. The beautiful purple, the beautiful red, purple, and blue curtains, they tore. Go ahead.
The temple shook, or the earth shook, and the rocks were split.
And this is exactly what the historian is quoting. So he knows what he's talking about. The historian is saying this is what happened. The rocks tore, it was an earthquake, and the curtain ripped in half, and there was an eclipse. But it wasn't a natural eclipse. The sky went black. But there was a full moon. It was a time of the full moon. Go ahead.
The tombs were also opened, and many bodies of the saints who had fallen asleep were raised.
Again, this is what the Phlegon, the historian, all right, in the time of Tiberius Caesar. Who was Tiberius Caesar? Let me go ahead, keep going.
After his resurrection, they came out of the tombs and entered the holy city and appeared to many.
So all of these people are coming, raising up from the dead. Who is Tiberius Caesar? Let me tell you, it's Tiberius Caesar. Luke chapter 3. And in the 15th year of the reign of Tiberius Caesar, when Pontius Pilate was governor over Judea, and Herod was tetrarch of Galilee, and his brother Philip was tetrarch of the region of Iturea and Trachonitis, and Lysanias was tetrarch of Abilene, and the high priesthood of Annas and Caiaphas, the word of Yahweh came to John, the son of Zechariah, in the wilderness. See that? That's why it's mentioned in Tiberius Caesar in the historical account. So this proves that when IUIC is telling people that the new moon is the white moon, that's not from the Most High. That's not of the Most High.
No.
All right? It's not of the Most High. So now Hamashiach has died now for our sins. And the temple, listen, the temple, which was the meeting place of heaven and earth for mankind. Remember, Yahweh would come to the mercy seat, and that's where we offered up sacrifice for our sins. And other nations would come there and offer up sacrifices to Yahweh also. So that tabernacle was the place where Yahweh met with man, specifically for the chosen of Israel. So that's one. That's the meeting place of heaven and earth. And then you got the heavens with what? With the rock. The rock splitting in an earthquake. And then you have inside the temple, what were those curtains at? right before the Holy of Holies. The curtains ripped in half. The curtains ripped. And then, so you have the earth, the temple, and then you got what? The heavens. So you have the buffer zone, the heavens, and the earth, all showing displays at the same time that Yahweh is involved in what's going on. And this is why so many people started to believe. All right, go ahead.
Now when the centurion and those with him who were keeping watch over Yehoshua saw the earthquake and what took place, they were terrified and said, "Truly this man was Allah's son."
So they say, yeah, this is the Most High's son. Read.
Many women were also there, looking on from a distance. They had followed Yehoshua from Galilee, ministering to him.
Ministering to him, meaning taking care of him, washing his clothes, all right, making sure he was eating right, making sure he had, enough to drink, making sure he had, his cot was made however he was sleeping, making sure he had soap and oil and things like that. All right, go ahead.
Among them were Mary Magdalene, and Mary, the mother of James and Joseph, and the mother of the sons of Zebedee.
So Mary Magdalene, all right, Mary, the mother of Zebedee, right, and the mother of James and Joseph. So all these people were helping him. These were just women that were, looking out for him, saying, like, this is my son, or this is my big brother, my little brother, whatever the case may be. All right, go ahead.
When it was evening,
When it was evening, go ahead.
there came a rich man from Arimathea named Joseph,
Joseph of Arimathea, go ahead.
who also was himself a disciple of Yehoshua. He went to Pilate and asked for the body of Yehoshua.
Go ahead.
Then Pilate ordered it to be given to him.
Uh-huh.
So Joseph took the body
Joseph of Arimathea took the body.
and wrapped it in a clean linen
He
cloth
wrapped it up in linen fabric. Go ahead.
and laid it in his new tomb,
He put it in a tomb.
which he had hewn in the rock.
This is going into the prophecy when it says that you will not allow me to stay in the grave. Right? You will not allow me to stay in the grave in Psalms chapter 30. Round about like verse 3. Psalms chapter 30, verse 3. All right. Where it says, "O Lord, you brought up my soul from Hades," which is hell. All right. "You saved me from those that go down into the pit." Meaning people were in the pit, but you saved me. Meaning what? You actually saved me from those going down into the pit, but in the Hebrew it says, you lifted me up from those that go down. Meaning that you were down with them and he lifted me up. All right. The Greek says people went down into the pit and I was with them, but you lifted me up. All right, go ahead.
He then rolled a great stone to the door of the tomb and went away. Mary Magdalene and the other Mary were there, sitting opposite the tomb.
All right. Go ahead.
The next day, that is, after the day of preparation, the chief priests and the Pharisees gathered before Pilate and said, "Sir, we remember what that impostor said while he was still alive."
How you call him an imposter now? He did that. He fulfilled all the prophecies. This is they haters. How they call him an imposter when he fulfilled the prophecies? And again, like I was saying earlier, there's been no Jewish source that has ever refuted that Hamashiach was the king for 900 years until they finished the Masoretic text. And then they said, oh, look at what it says. Almost 1,000 years later. But all these famous guys we read about that got their writing, Shemaiah and Hillel, all right? Nobody contradicted, said anything against Hamashiach, ever. Nobody that was in that generation or the generation after said anything against Hamashiach. All right, read.
After 3 days, I will rise again. Therefore, command the tomb to be made secure until the third day.
Right.
Otherwise, his disciples may go and steal him away and tell the people, he has been raised from the dead.
Yeah, they really paranoid. Israelites gonna go and steal a dead body, right? Go ahead.
and the last deception would be worse than the first. Pilate said to them, "You have a guard of soldiers. Go, make it as secure as you can." So they went with the guard and made the tomb secure by sealing the stone.
Okay, so that's the reading. I think tomorrow, on the seventh day, we're gonna read 28, which is the last chapter in Matthew. All right. Now, do we have any questions or comments about any of these things that we just read? All right, any questions or comments about what we just read? Anybody got anything they want to ask about regarding the readings? Anybody over here?
Yeah, I wanted to say that when you have other historians that witnessed the account of Yahweh's crucifixion, noting the phenomena of the dead rising from the graves, that right there lets you know that this was not a regular event. This was not a regular eclipse. This was supernatural in nature for the fact that it occurred in the middle of the month and for the hours that it occurred at, and also all the things that happened during that event. And all the historians wrote that this was not normal. This was something out the ordinary that has not been that has not occurred since that time. I yield.
Fine. All right, so that's it, everybody. No questions or comments, so, we can go ahead and, end. All right, we don't got anybody that wants to, we don't have anybody who wants to chime in. All right, so that's the readings for the second day. Nothing heavily profound. My favorite part about reading about these things are I get excited when I see things that are happening, and knowing that these things were already prophesied in the Old Testament, and knowing that they've never been refuted by anybody, and knowing that people can just explain it away and nobody can say, well, it really happened, but not to him, but to somebody else. Nobody can explain it. And then Hamashiach is the only historical figure that even qualifies to be the one that fulfilled these prophecies. There's no other candidates. There are no other candidates for the situation to show that, Hamashiach, there's another contender. Right? There's no competition. There's no contender. There's nobody that has ever come in history and said, you know what? We got a candidate. This guy fulfills these prophecies. So it's just exciting and it's encouraging to see all of these prophecies happening. And the reason we're reading this now is because this is the time frame of unleavened bread, and the things that we're reading about in Matthew chapter 27 are happening during the time frame of the Passover, during the time frame of the priest. Right? So I hope that, your understanding was enriched, and I hope that you could have more faith in Yahweh, and have more faith in Hamashiach, have more confidence to obey the Torah, and have more confidence to believe the things that I tell you using the Bible as evidence to substantiate the points that I'm making that can't be contradicted. A lot of people out here teaching, but they're not teaching soundly. They're teaching things that sound okay, but at the end of the day, a lot of them are teaching, they're just recycling the same things that having taught for the past 40 years. Okay. One more question is, he had to go through the pain and slow death for the sacrifice to be valid, for him to refuse the drink. All right. Most likely, Khan. He didn't want no type of numbing effect for the pain, for what he went through. And there's a deeper study on that too, which maybe we'll get into that, before the feast is over. But there's another study about the liquid and him refusing that drink. All right. Yeah, maybe we'll try to maybe we'll try to get into that tomorrow. Let's see. And also, if you drink vinegar, your mouth's gonna become more dry. Like, you're gonna become more thirsty. Vinegar dries stuff up, you know. In Psalms 69:21, they also gave me a bitter herb for my drink, and for my thirst they gave me vinegar to drink. Then it says, may their table before them become a snare, which goes into Romans chapter 11 also goes into that. Yeah, but like I said, there's a whole lesson regarding the vinegar and the gall, which is not, these are things that dry you out. All right. But we may cover that tomorrow when we go into the third day. Readings, we're still in we're in the second day now. All praise to Yahweh. In this country at least, and the eastern countries in Bolivia and in Colombia, they're in they just started the third day, but we're still in the second day, which is the 16th of Abib, which is the first day of counting of the Omer. All right, the 7 weeks. All right, this is the first day of the 7 weeks, and then the 50th day is going to be the feast of weeks. All right, Shavuot. All right, everybody. So that's going to be it for right now. But I don't think that the slow death and the pain, I can't really relate that to him refusing to drink the vinegar. I know vinegar, like I said, it's gonna just make you feel more thirsty. It's gonna make you feel more thirsty. But again, there's a lesson to that we'll try to get into tomorrow, or maybe even inside the group chat, we can put some of the information that deals with this topic specifically, so everybody can see it and everybody have access to it. All right, everybody. So Tawada for joining us. Going over these scriptures and stuff. May Yahweh bless all of you, and then may Yahweh Mashiach. All right, shalom.